I'm standing in my dream lake house kitchen when my phone buzzes. It's my sister, Emma. "We're moving in Monday," she says, grinning through FaceTime. "Dad already approved it. He said you wouldn't mind since family helps family." My blood runs cold. I built this $600,000 home with my own money, my own sweat. I reach for my phone to check the security system. Motion detected at the back door. Trespassing recorded. Someone's already trying to get in. My parents gave them a key. My name is Annalise, and I'm 32 years old. To understand how I ended up here, staring at a security alert while my sister casually announces she's moving into my house, you need to know where I came from. I grew up in a cramped 3-bedroom house in suburban Ohio, just outside Cleveland. The house was maybe 1,200 square feet, with thin walls and a basement that flooded every spring. My parents, Richard and Patricia, did their best, but money was always tight. Dad worked at a manufacturing plant, and Mom cleaned houses part-time when we were in school. Emma is 4 years younger than me, and from the moment she was born, she was the golden child. I don't say that with bitterness, just fact. She had colic as a baby, and Mom coddled her constantly. When Emma wanted dance lessons, they found the money. When she needed a car for her 16th birthday, they co-signed a loan. When she decided to go to a private liberal arts college that cost $40,000 a year, they took out parent loans and worked extra shifts. Me? I paid my own way through everything. I started babysitting at 12, worked at a grocery store at 15, and took every shift I could get. When it was time for college, I went to the state school, lived at home to save money, and worked 3 jobs to cover tuition. I studied computer science because I was good at math, and I knew tech jobs paid well. I didn't have time for sororities or spring break trips. I had spreadsheets tracking every dollar, every debt, every goal. After graduation, I got a job at a mid-sized tech company in Columbus. The pay was decent, but I wanted more. I wanted security, independence, the kind of life where I never had to worry about a flooded basement or choosing between fixing the car and buying groceries. So I worked 80-hour weeks, took every freelance gig I could find, and learned everything about software consulting. 5 years ago, at 27, I started my own tech consulting company. It was terrifying. I lived in a tiny 400-square-foot apartment with furniture from thrift stores and ate ramen more nights than I care to admit. But I hustled. I landed clients, delivered excellent work, and built a reputation. My company grew. I hired a small team. The money started coming in, real money, the kind that let me breathe for the first time in my life. Last year, I did something I'd dreamed about since I was a kid sitting in that cramped Ohio house. I bought a lake house. Not just any lake house, but a stunning custom-built home in northern Michigan, right on Lake Charlevoix. It cost me $600,000, every penny I'd saved and earned. The house has 3 bedrooms, floor-to-ceiling windows that overlook the water, a gourmet kitchen with marble countertops, and a boat dock where I can sit and watch the sunset through the pine trees. It's 2,500 square feet of pure peace, my sanctuary, my proof that all those years of sacrifice meant something. I invited my parents to the housewarming party 6 months ago. I was so proud, so excited to show them what I'd accomplished. I thought they'd be happy for me. Instead, Dad walked through the house with his arms crossed, making comments the whole time. "Awfully big for one person, don't you think?" he said, running his hand along the granite kitchen island. "Seems like a waste of space." He stood on the deck, looking out at the lake, and shook his head. "Family should share spaces like this. What's the point of having 3 bedrooms if you're here alone?" Mom was gentler but no less pointed. She kept saying how much Emma and her husband Tyler would love to vacation here. "You should have them up for a week in the summer," she suggested, rearranging the throw pillows on my couch. Emma's never been to a place like this. It would mean so much to her. I brushed it off. I figured they were just being typical parents, maybe a little jealous, maybe feeling like I'd moved on to a life they couldn't relate to. I told them Emma was welcome to visit any time, thinking that would be enough. I should have known better. Now, standing in my kitchen with that security alert glowing on my phone screen, I realized they were never just making comments. They were planning. I call my parents immediately, my hands shaking as I hold the phone to my ear. Dad answers on the third ring, his voice casual, almost cheerful. "Oh, Emma told you?" he says, like we're discussing weekend plans. "Great. Yeah, they need a place to stay while they look for a house in the area. Tyler lost his job a few weeks ago, and their lease is up at the end of the month. We knew you'd understand. Family helps family, right?" "Dad, I never agreed to this," I say, my voice tight. "This is my house. You can't just promise Emma she can move in without even asking me." There's a pause, and when he speaks again, his tone has shifted completely. The cheerfulness is gone, replaced by something cold and sharp. "After everything we did for you growing up? You're being selfish, Annalise. Your sister needs help, and you have all this space sitting empty most of the week anyway. What's the big deal?" "The big deal is it's my home," I say, my voice rising. "I worked for this. I paid for this. You don't get to decide who lives here." My mother's voice cuts in. She must have grabbed the phone. She's crying, her words coming in gasps. "How can you be so cruel to your own sister? She's struggling, Annalise. She has nowhere to go. You have everything, and you can't even help your own family? What kind of person are you?" I feel like I've been punched in the stomach. The guilt is instant, automatic, a reflex trained into me over 32 years. But underneath it, there's anger, hot and bright. "I have to go," I manage to say, and I hang up before they can say anything else. My hands are trembling as I open the security app on my phone. I scroll back through the footage, looking for the motion alert that triggered before Emma's call. When I find it, my stomach drops. The video shows my father at my back door 3 days ago, Wednesday afternoon. He's holding the spare key I gave him for emergencies. The one I told him was only for real emergencies. Like if I was in an accident and someone needed to get into the house. He looks directly at the camera, then he covers it with his hand. The footage goes black for a few minutes. When it comes back, he's walking away, and I know exactly what he did in those missing minutes. He made a copy of my key. They've been planning this all along. I don't sleep that night. I spend hours researching locksmiths, property law, and tenant rights. At 6 in the morning, I find a locksmith who does emergency weekend calls. By 9, he's at my door, replacing every lock on the house. It costs me $800 for the rush service, but I don't care. I watch him work, feeling a small measure of control returning. "Someone have your keys who shouldn't?" he asks, as he installs the new deadbolt on the front door. "Something like that," I say. He nods, doesn't push for details. "These are good locks. Nobody's getting in without your permission." I tip him an extra $100 and feel like I can breathe again. The problem is solved. They can't get in. I'm safe. I spend Saturday afternoon working on a client project, trying to distract myself from the knot of anxiety in my chest. Every time my phone buzzes, I flinch, but it's just work emails and a text from my best friend Sarah asking if I want to grab dinner next week. Sunday afternoon, I'm sitting on my deck with my laptop, reviewing code for a new software implementation. The weather is perfect, mid-70s with a light breeze coming off the lake. The pine trees rustle softly, and a pair of ducks paddle past the dock. This is exactly why I bought this place, for moments like this, for peace. Then I hear voices coming up the driveway. I close my laptop and walk around the side of the house. My stomach drops when I see them. Emma, Tyler, and both my parents are walking toward my front door, pulling suitcases behind them. Tyler is carrying 2 large cardboard boxes labeled kitchen and bedroom in black marker. Emma has a duffel bag over her shoulder and a smile on her face like she's arriving at a vacation resort. I reach the front door before they do, standing in front of it with my arms crossed. "What are you doing here?" I ask, though I already know the answer. Emma's smile falters just slightly. "We're moving in. I told you we were coming Monday, But we figured, why wait? The movers are coming tomorrow with the rest of our stuff. You're not moving in, I say, keeping my voice steady. I already told Dad this isn't happening. Tyler steps forward. He's 29, tall and broad-shouldered, with the kind of confidence that comes from never being told no. Come on, Annalise. Don't be difficult. You have 3 bedrooms here, and you're barely around during the week anyway. You work from your Columbus office most of the time, right? We'd basically have the place to ourselves. That's not the point, I say. This is my house. I didn't agree to this. You need to leave. Dad moves to the front, his face already turning red. We raised you better than this, Annalise. You're being unbelievably selfish. Your sister needs help, and you have the means to provide it. This is what family does. Mom is crying again, pressing a tissue to her eyes. I can't believe you're doing this. After everything we sacrificed for you. Emma pulls out her phone and holds it up, the camera pointed at me. Everyone needs to see what kind of person my sister really is, she says, her voice loud and clear. She has a $600,000 house with 3 empty bedrooms, and she won't let her own sister stay here when she's about to be homeless. Turn that off, I say, my face flushing. No, Emma says. People should know the truth about you. I take a deep breath, trying to stay calm. You're not homeless, Emma. You have options. You can find an apartment, stay with friends, figure something out. But you're not staying here without my permission. That's when Tyler makes his move. He suddenly steps forward and shoulders past me, pushing the front door open with enough force that I stumble backward. He's inside before I can react. His boots heavy on my hardwood floors as he walks straight toward the guest bedroom. Tyler, get out, I shout, following him inside. He stops in the hallway and turns around, that smug smile still on his face. Actually, Annalise, your dad signed paperwork. He's part owner of this house, right? He said he co-signed your mortgage. My blood turns to ice. So technically, Tyler continues, clearly enjoying this, he can let us stay here. It's his house too. Dad steps inside, nodding. That's right. I co-signed your mortgage when you bought this place. You couldn't have gotten the loan without me, remember? Your business was too new, and you needed my credit. So I have just as much right to decide who stays here as you do. I can barely breathe. He's right. When I bought the house, my company was only 4 years old, and the bank wanted a co-signer for that large of a mortgage. Dad offered, said he was proud of me and wanted to help. I thought it was a generous gesture. I never imagined he'd use it against me like this. That doesn't give you the right to move people in, I say, but my voice sounds weak even to my own ears. Emma is recording all of this, her phone camera capturing my shock, my helplessness. Watch me, Dad says. I pull out my phone with shaking hands. I'm calling the police. Emma laughs, actually laughs. Go ahead. Tell them your co-owner gave us permission to be here. See what they say. I dial 911 anyway. My voice is surprisingly steady as I explain the situation to the dispatcher. Request an officer to come to my address for an unwanted guest situation. She says someone will be there within 30 minutes. While we wait, Tyler and Emma start unloading their car. They bring in suitcases, boxes, bags of groceries. Mom makes herself comfortable in my kitchen, opening cabinets and rearranging my dishes to make room for their things. Dad sits on my couch, remote in hand, turning on my television like he owns the place. I stand in the corner of my own living room, watching my home being invaded, and I have never felt more powerless in my entire life. The police officer who arrives is named Officer Davis. He's maybe 40, with kind eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. He listens to me explain the situation, then listens to my father explain his side. Tyler stands nearby with his arms crossed, looking confident. Officer Davis asks to see the mortgage documents. Dad has them ready, pulled up on his phone, showing that his name is listed as co-signer. The officer studies them for a long moment, then looks at me with what I think is sympathy. Ma'am, I understand this is your home and you don't want these folks here, he says carefully. But because your father is on the mortgage as a co-signer, this becomes a civil matter, not a criminal one. He does have certain legal rights regarding the property. I can't forcibly remove them without a court order stating they have no right to be here. So they can just stay? I ask, my voice cracking. You'll need to resolve this through the courts, Officer Davis says. I'd recommend getting a lawyer and filing for an emergency hearing. But as of right now, based on the documentation, I can't classify this as trespassing. Tyler's smile grows wider. Emma high-fives him once the officer turns away. Officer Davis gives me his card before he leaves. I'm sorry I couldn't do more, he says quietly. Document everything. Take photos, videos, keep records. It'll help your case. After he leaves, my family continues settling in like nothing happened. Tyler brings in a mini fridge and sets it up in the guest bedroom. Emma hangs clothes in the closet. Mom starts cooking dinner in my kitchen, using my pots and pans, my groceries. I lock myself in the primary bedroom and call James Peterson, a lawyer I went to college with, who now specializes in family law and property disputes. Thankfully, he answers, even though it's Sunday evening. James, I need help, I say, and then I tell him everything. He listens without interrupting, and when I finish, he sighs. This is messy, Annalise. Your dad being on the mortgage complicates things. Technically, as a co-signer, he has financial responsibility, but not automatic ownership or right of occupancy. However, proving that in court takes time. How much time? I ask. Could be weeks for a hearing. Maybe a couple of months, depending on the court's schedule. In the meantime, you could try to refinance to get him off the mortgage entirely. But that's also not a quick process. So, they can just stay here? Not legally in the long term, but getting them out quickly is going to be difficult. The best bet is to file for an emergency restraining order and eviction notice. I can start the paperwork first thing Monday morning. I thank him and hang up, feeling defeated. Weeks, maybe months, in my own house. That evening, I stay in my bedroom, listening to the sounds of my family taking over my home. I hear the television blaring, Emma's loud laughter, the clatter of dishes. Around 9 o'clock, I hear Tyler and Emma talking in the guest bedroom. The walls in this house are well built, but sound still carries through the vents. I press my ear to the vent in my bedroom closet and listen. Once we're here long enough, we can claim tenancy, Tyler is saying. I looked it up. After 30 days in Michigan, we'll have tenant rights. Then she'll never get us out without a huge legal battle. Mom said if we just hold out, Annalise will give up and let us buy her out, Emma replies. Dad will help us get a loan. We could offer her like $400,000 for her share. Tyler laughs. This place is worth at least $600,000, maybe more. If we can get her to panic sell for $400,000, we'll flip it in a year and make bank. My hands start shaking. I grab my phone and start recording, holding it up to the vent. I capture nearly 5 minutes of them discussing their plan, how they'll make my life miserable until I agree to sell, how they've already talked to a real estate agent about market values in the area. When they finally stop talking, I sit on my bedroom floor with my phone clutched in my hand, my recording of their conversation saved and backed up to 3 different cloud services. This isn't about temporary help. This isn't about family supporting family. They're trying to steal my house. I don't sleep at all that night. Instead, I sit at my desk with my laptop, researching everything I can find about property law, cosigner rights, tenancy rules, and eviction processes in Michigan. I read case law, legal blogs, and forum discussions. Around 3 in the morning, I find something interesting. According to Michigan property law, a cosigner on a mortgage has financial obligation, but does not automatically have ownership rights or right of occupancy without the primary owner's explicit consent. The mortgage documents need to be carefully worded, but in most standard agreements, the primary borrower retains full control over occupancy decisions. I pull up my mortgage documents and read through every line of the dense legal language. There, in Section 12, subsection C, it clearly states that I, Annalise Harper, am the sole owner and sole occupant decision-maker for the property, and that the co-signer's responsibility is limited to financial liability in case of default. My hands are shaking as I screenshot the section and email it to James along with the recording of Tyler and Emma's conversation. The email is sent at 3:17 in the morning. I finally fall asleep around 4, still dressed, on top of my covers. I wake up Monday morning to the smell of bacon and coffee. For a split second, still foggy with sleep, I think maybe I dreamed the whole thing. Then I remember. I shower and dress carefully, choosing a professional outfit like I'm going to a business meeting. Tailored pants, a crisp blouse, minimal jewelry. I look at myself in the mirror and barely recognize the exhausted woman staring back. But I square my shoulders and walk out of my bedroom with my head high. In the kitchen, Mom is making breakfast. Emma is scrolling through her phone at the table, and Tyler is pouring himself coffee from my expensive espresso machine. Dad is reading the news on his tablet, sitting in the chair I usually use. "Good morning," I say brightly. They all look at me with surprise. I think they expected me to stay hidden in my room or come out fighting. "Morning," Mom says cautiously. "I made extra bacon if you want some." "That's so thoughtful," I say, and I mean it to sound sincere. I pour myself coffee and make a plate of eggs and toast. I sit down at the table like everything is normal. "Sleep well, everyone?" Emma exchanges a glance with Tyler. "Yeah, fine. You?" "Great," I lie. "Listen, I was thinking about everything last night, and you're right. Family should help each other. I've been stressed about work and I overreacted." Mom's face lights up. "Oh, honey, I'm so glad you came around. I knew you would. You've always been such a good girl deep down." Dad nods approvingly. "That's more like it. See, this isn't so bad, is it?" "Not at all," I say, taking a sip of coffee. "I do need to run some errands this morning, though. I'll be back this afternoon." "Take your time," Dad says. "We're just going to get settled in today." I finish my breakfast, rinse my plate, and grab my purse and car keys. As I walk to my car, I can feel them watching me through the window, probably congratulating themselves on breaking me down so quickly. Instead, I drive straight to James's office in Traverse City, 40 minutes away. He's already there waiting for me, looking like he hasn't slept much either. "I got your email," he says as soon as I walk in. "This is good. This is really good." He's printed out the section of my mortgage agreement and highlighted the relevant language. "Your father has no legal right to grant occupancy to anyone. You are the sole owner, and the document is crystal clear about that. He's financially on the hook if you default, but he has zero say in who lives there." So the police officer was wrong? He was being cautious, which I understand. These situations can be gray areas, and officers don't want to get involved in what might be a civil dispute. But legally, you're in the right. Your father misrepresented his rights, possibly fraudulently. "What about the recording?" I ask. James grins. "Michigan is a one-party consent state for recordings. That means as long as you're part of the conversation or in your own home, you can record without the other person's knowledge. This recording proves intent to defraud you, to establish illegal tenancy, and to coerce you into selling your property under duress. It's gold for our case." He's already prepared an emergency motion for a restraining order and eviction notice. We spend 2 hours going over every detail, making sure the paperwork is airtight. Then we drive together back to my house, along with a sheriff's deputy, James, arranged to meet us there. When we pull into my driveway at 2 in the afternoon, my family is outside. Tyler is setting up a grill on my deck. Emma is sunbathing on a lounge chair. Dad is on the phone, walking along the dock. They all stop what they're doing when they see the sheriff's deputy get out of the car behind us. "What's going on?" Tyler asks, standing up from the grill. James walks forward with a folder of documents. "I'm James Peterson, Miss Harper's attorney. I have here an emergency restraining order and eviction notice for Tyler and Emma Martinez, along with a cease and desist order for Richard and Patricia Harper." He hands the papers to Tyler, then to my father, who has hurried over from the dock. Dad's face goes white as he reads. You can't do this. Actually, I can, I say, my voice steady. You lied about your rights to this property. You have no ownership stake and no right to grant occupancy. I have documentation proving that, along with evidence that Tyler and Emma planned to fraudulently establish tenancy and coerce me into selling my home under market value. Emma starts crying immediately. You're kicking out your own family? How can you do this? You have 48 hours to vacate the premises, the deputy says. If you're not gone by Wednesday at 9 in the morning, you'll be forcibly removed and subject to arrest for trespassing. Tyler's face turns red. He takes a step toward me, his hands balled into fists. You can't do this. This is bullshit. The deputy moves between us. Sir, I suggest you calm down. Threatening behavior won't help your situation. Tyler backs off, but his jaw is clenched. Dad pulls me aside, away from the others. His face has changed completely. The anger is gone, replaced by something that looks like genuine concern. Annalise, wait. Can we talk? Just you and me? I want to say no, but something in his expression makes me hesitate. Fine, 2 minutes. We walk down to the dock, out of earshot of the others. Dad turns to face me, and I'm shocked to see tears in his eyes. I need to tell you something, he says quietly. I was diagnosed with heart disease 3 months ago. Early stage, but it's there. The doctor said stress is the worst thing for me right now. He pulls out his phone and shows me medical records, cardiology reports, prescriptions for blood pressure medication. It's all real. I've been so worried about Emma and Tyler, he continues. Tyler lost his job because he's been struggling with depression. Emma's been trying to hold everything together, but they're drowning financially. I thought if I could just help them get on their feet, give them a stable place to stay, I could fix this. The stress of watching them struggle has been killing me. Literally. He looks at me with such raw vulnerability that I feel my resolve wavering. If you force them out and something happens to me because of the stress, you'll have to live with that guilt forever. Is that what you want? Before I can respond, Mom joins us on the dock. She's crying too. Your father could die, Annalise. The doctor said another major stress event could trigger a heart attack. Is your pride really worth more than his life? I feel the familiar guilt creeping in, that old childhood feeling that I'm responsible for everyone's happiness, everyone's well-being. I'm the oldest. I'm the successful one. I should be taking care of them. Emma appears at the end of the dock, her face streaked with tears. Please, she says softly. Just give us 3 months. That's all we need. Tyler has some job interviews lined up. We'll find a place. We'll be out of your hair. Please don't make us go to a shelter. I look at the 3 of them, at their tears, at Dad's medical records, and for a moment I almost break. I almost tell James to tear up the eviction notice, almost agree to 3 months. Then I remember the recording. I remember Tyler saying they'd flip the house for profit. I remember Emma laughing about making $400,000 off my desperation. I remember Dad making a copy of my key without permission, lying to the police about his rights. I look my father directly in the eyes. Dad, I love you. I'm sorry you're dealing with health problems. But you taught me something important when I was growing up. You taught me to work hard, to stand up for myself, to not let people take advantage of me. That's what I'm doing right now. This is different, he says. This is family. Family doesn't lie, I say. Family doesn't scheme to steal from each other. Family doesn't manipulate and guilt trip. If you're stressed, Dad, that's your choice. You created this situation. You could have asked me if Emma could stay for a few weeks. You could have been honest. Instead, you tried to force your way in, and now you're using your health to make me feel guilty. That's on you, not me. I turn and walk back toward the house. Mom's voice follows me, shrill and furious. You're dead to this family. Do you hear me? Dead. I don't look back. I keep walking until I reach James, who's standing by his car. Wednesday morning, I say. Make sure they're out. He nods. I'll be here. The next 48 hours are the longest of my life. True to their word, Emma, and Tyler make every moment miserable. On Monday evening, I hear a loud crash from the guest bathroom. When I check, I find the toilet overflowing, water flooding across the tile floor. Tyler is standing in the hallway, his expression blank. "Oops," he says. "Must have clogged it." I spend an hour cleaning up water and unclogging a toilet that's been stuffed with an entire roll of paper towels. While I'm doing that, I notice toothpaste smeared across the mirror in thick, deliberate streaks. There are towels on the floor, soaking wet and molding. Tuesday morning, I find that every piece of food I had in the house is gone. The fridge is empty except for condiments. The pantry has been cleared out. Tyler and Emma ate or took everything. Tuesday afternoon, I hear furniture being moved in the guest room. Heavy scraping sounds that make me wince. When they finally leave for a few hours and I go to check, I find deep scratches gouged into the hardwood floor where they dragged a dresser across the room. The text messages start Monday night and don't stop. My phone buzzes constantly with messages from extended family members I haven't talked to in years. Aunts, uncles, cousins, even my grandmother, all telling me what a terrible person I am. "Your father has a heart condition and you're stressing him out like this? Shame on you." That's from Aunt Linda, Dad's younger sister. "I always knew you were selfish, but this takes it to a new level." That's from my cousin Brett. "Family is supposed to stick together. What happened to you?" That's from Uncle Tom. On and on and on. My phone becomes a weapon. Each buzz another attack. The worst comes Tuesday afternoon when Emma posts on social media. I don't see it at first because I deleted my Facebook account years ago, but Sarah calls me. "Annalise, have you seen what Emma posted?" "No, what?" "It's bad. It's everywhere. She's saying you're kicking her out while she's pregnant and homeless, that you're choosing money over family." "She's pregnant?" I ask, shocked. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what the post says. It's got like 2,000 shares already. I have Sarah send me screenshots. The post shows Emma and Tyler sitting on the curb outside my house with suitcases, looking devastated. The caption reads, "My sister owns a $600,000 mansion with 3 empty bedrooms. I asked if my husband and I could stay for a few weeks while we get back on our feet and I'm 7 weeks pregnant. She said no and is having us legally evicted. Family means nothing when you have money. Please share so people know what kind of person Annalise Harper really is." The comments are vicious. Hundreds of people calling me horrible names, saying I'm heartless, greedy, a disgrace. Old high school acquaintances I haven't thought about in 15 years are commenting about how stuck up I was even back then. Former coworkers are expressing disappointment. My business email starts getting messages. "I saw what you did to your sister. We won't be using your services anymore. 3 clients, gone, just like that." Sarah tries to be supportive. "Don't read the comments. It's all performative outrage from people who don't know you." But I can't help it. I read every comment, every message, every text. By Tuesday night, I'm sitting on my bedroom floor, phone in my lap, wondering if I'm the villain in this story. Maybe I am being cruel. Maybe I should just let them stay. 3 months isn't that long. Maybe I can endure 3 months of this, if it means not being hated by everyone I've ever known. Wednesday morning arrives with gray skies and the threat of rain. I wake up before dawn and sit on my dock, watching the lake, trying to find some clarity. My phone rings at 7 in the morning. I don't recognize the number, but I answer anyway. "Is this Annalise Harper?" A woman's voice, older, warm. "Yes. Who's this?" "This is your Aunt Carol, your dad's older sister. I live in Arizona now, so we haven't seen each other in probably 20 years. I vaguely remember Aunt Carol from childhood. She always sent birthday cards with $20 bills inside, but she never came to family gatherings. I assumed there had been some falling out. I saw Emma's post," Carol says. "It's been shared in some family groups. I need to tell you something, and I need you to listen carefully." "Okay," I say, my heart starting to pound. "What your father is doing to you, he did to his own parents." Your grandparents? My mom and dad? I sit up straighter. What do you mean? Carol takes a deep breath. 20 years ago, right after Emma was born, your father convinced our parents to let him and your mom move into their house temporarily. They said it was just for 6 months while they got back on their feet. Our parents owned their home outright, paid off, worth maybe $150,000 at the time. It was their security for retirement. I don't remember them living with Grandma and Grandpa, I say. You were 12, 13 maybe. You probably thought it was normal. But it wasn't temporary. Your father stayed for 3 years. He never paid rent, never contributed to bills. When our parents finally tried to make them leave, your father threatened to sue them for elder abuse, claiming they owed him for caregiving services he'd provided. I feel sick. What happened? Our parents were so stressed, so worn down, they sold the house just to get peace. They split the money with your dad, gave him $75,000 to go away. They moved into a small 2-bedroom apartment and lived off Social Security and the remainder of their savings. They died within 2 years of selling that house. Heartbroken, broke, and defeated. Tears are streaming down my face. I didn't know. I barely remember them from after I was a teenager. They seemed sad, but I thought it was just because they were old. Your father has always believed the world owes him something, Carol says, her voice hardening. He's manipulative. He uses guilt and family obligation to get what he wants. Your mother enables him, always has. When I tried to confront him about what he did to our parents, he cut me off completely. I haven't spoken to him in 15 years. Why are you telling me this now? Because I don't want him to do to you what he did to them. You've worked hard for what you have. Don't let him take it. Don't let guilt destroy you the way it destroyed my parents. We talk for another 20 minutes. Carol tells me stories about my grandparents, about how loving and generous they were before my father drained them. She tells me about the grandfather who taught her to fish, the grandmother who baked bread every Sunday. I have vague memories of them, faded and distant, but Carol brings them to life. They would be proud of you for standing up for yourself, Carol says before we hang up. Don't forget that. After we say goodbye, I sit on the dock for a long time, watching the sun rise over the water. Something has crystallized inside me, something hard and unbreakable. This isn't about being cruel. This is about survival. This is about not letting history repeat itself. At 8:30 Wednesday morning, I'm dressed and ready. I've had my coffee, answered a few work emails, and mentally prepared myself for what's about to happen. James arrives at 8:45, along with the same sheriff's deputy from Monday. They park in the driveway and walk up to my front door. Inside, I can hear chaos. Emma is yelling at Tyler about something. Boxes are being dragged across floors. Doors are slamming. At exactly 9 o'clock, the deputy knocks on the door. Dad answers. His face is drawn and tired, but there's still defiance in his eyes. We're packing, he says. Give us another hour. The order said 9 a.m., the deputy responds. You've had 48 hours. I'm giving you 60 minutes to finish loading your vehicles. Anything left after that will be considered abandoned property. Tyler appears behind Dad, his face flushed. This is illegal. You can't force us out. We have rights. I know my rights. The deputy remains calm. Sir, you have 59 minutes now. I suggest you use them. I stand on the porch, watching them scramble. Emma is crying, throwing clothes into garbage bags. Tyler is swearing, dragging boxes out to their car with jerky, aggressive movements. Mom is trying to pack the kitchen items they brought, her hands shaking. Dad approaches me while the deputy is checking the guest room. His face has shifted again, trying a different tactic. Your mother's blood pressure has been through the roof. If she has a stroke because of this stress, it's on you. I look at him calmly. Then you should probably get her to a doctor instead of using her health to manipulate me. Mom gasps from the doorway, clutching her chest dramatically. How can you say that? I might be dying. Then Tyler should drive you to the emergency room right now, I say without emotion. I'm not stopping you. Mom stares at me like she doesn't recognize me. Maybe she doesn't. I barely recognize myself. They load their car and a U-Haul trailer in desperate silence. Tyler keeps muttering threats under his breath, but the deputy's presence keeps him in check. Emma films everything on her phone, probably for another social media post about what a monster I am. As they're loading the last boxes, Emma approaches me. Her eyes are red from crying, and for a moment she looks like the little sister I used to help with homework and comfort after nightmares. Remember when I was 10 and I had that science project on volcanoes? She says quietly. You stayed up all night helping me build the model. You said you'd always be there for me. The memory hits me like a punch. I do remember. I remember buying the supplies with my babysitting money, mixing the baking soda and vinegar, watching her face light up when it erupted perfectly. For a second, the guilt almost wins. Then I remember something else. I also remember when you borrowed $5,000 from me 4 years ago for emergency dental work. You said you'd pay me back within 6 months. I found out from Sarah that you went to Cancun that month. You never paid me back. You never even apologized. Emma's face flushes red. She hadn't realized I knew. That was different. I needed a break. I was stressed. And I needed my money, but you didn't care. You've always taken from me, Emma. That's what our relationship has been. I give, you take. I'm done. She stares at me for a long moment, then turns and walks to the car without another word. Dad tries one last time as he loads the final suitcase. You'll regret this, Annalise. You'll end up alone. You'll realize too late that money isn't worth losing your family. Maybe, I say, but at least I'll still have a home. At 10:30, they're gone. The U-Haul pulls out of the driveway, followed by Tyler and Emma's car, followed by my parents' sedan. I watch them disappear down the road, and the silence that follows is deafening. James puts a hand on my shoulder. You did the right thing. Then why do I feel so terrible? Because you're a good person, he says. Good people feel bad even when they're protecting themselves. That's what makes you different from them. After James leaves, I walk through my house. At first, I'm just checking to make sure they're really gone. Then I start noticing things missing. My grandmother's quilt, the one she made when I was born, is gone from the guest bedroom. A painting I bought in Italy 3 years ago is missing from the hallway. The expensive chef's knives I splurged on last Christmas are gone from the kitchen. I check my jewelry box and find that several pieces are missing, including a pearl necklace that belonged to my grandmother. I document everything, taking photos and making a list. Then I check my bank accounts and credit cards. My heart sinks when I see the charges. My emergency credit card, the one I keep for true emergencies and that Dad knew about from the co-signing process, has $5,000 in charges from the last 3 days. Restaurant meals, gas, a new television, clothing. The charges are all signed by Tyler Martinez. I call the credit card company and report it as fraud. Then I call the police and file a report. 2 days later, I get a call from Detective Martinez with the Traverse City Police Department. Tyler is already under investigation for credit card fraud from 2 previous incidents. My case adds to a growing pile of evidence. The detective asks if I want to press full charges. Yes, I say without hesitation. Even though he's family? Especially because he's family. He knew better. The detective sounds approving. We'll be in touch as the case proceeds. Within hours of my decision, my parents call. I almost don't answer, but curiosity wins. Please don't do this, Mom begs immediately. Tyler made a mistake. He didn't mean to use your card. He was confused. Don't ruin his life over this. He stole from me. He committed fraud. Those are crimes. He has mental health issues. Dad jumps in. The stress of losing his job, it made him do things he wouldn't normally do. You're going to send him to jail? I'm going to let the justice system handle someone who committed a crime against me, just like anyone else would. We'll never forgive you for this, Dad says, his voice cold. I can live with that. They hang up. Dad sends me one more text. We're filing a lawsuit against you for wrongful eviction and emotional distress. Our lawyer says we have a case. I forward the text to James. He calls me an hour later, laughing. He's bluffing. There's no legal basis for any of this. Let him try. It'll get thrown out before it even gets to court. I take his word for it and block my parents' numbers. Then I block Emma, Tyler, and every extended family member who sent me hateful messages. I delete my social media accounts entirely. I cut off every avenue they have to reach me. The silence that follows is both terrifying and liberating. 3 months pass. I'm sitting on my dock on a Saturday evening in late August, watching the sun set over Lake Charlevoix. The sky is streaked with orange and pink, the water reflecting the colors like liquid gold. A light breeze carries the scent of pine trees, and somewhere in the distance, I can hear a loon calling. The refinancing went through 6 weeks ago. Dad's name is completely off my mortgage. The house is mine, fully and legally mine, with no strings attached. I paid extra to expedite the process, and it was worth every penny. I had the security system upgraded. New cameras, new sensors, new everything. Nobody is getting near this house without my knowledge. Tyler was charged with credit card fraud and pleaded guilty as part of a plea deal. He received 2 years probation and was ordered to pay full restitution. I got my $5,000 back, plus interest. Emma had to get a job for the first time in 2 years to help pay his legal fees and the restitution. She's working as a receptionist at a dental office, according to a mutual acquaintance who reached out to tell me. My parents stopped calling after Dad's threatened lawsuit went nowhere. James sent them a cease and desist letter, and they finally backed off. The social media posts Emma made were eventually taken down after multiple people reported them as harassment. At first, the silence was deafening. I felt guilty constantly. I second-guessed every decision. I lay awake at night wondering if I'd overreacted, if I'd been too harsh, if I should have found a compromise. Then Aunt Carol came to visit for a week in July. She flew in from Arizona, and we spent 7 days together, just talking. She brought old family photo albums, showed me pictures of my grandparents when they were young and vibrant. We drove to the small apartment building where they'd lived after selling their house. It's still there, a sad little complex with peeling paint and small windows. They were never the same after your father did what he did, Carol told me as we sat in my car, looking at the building. They felt so guilty about splitting up the family, about the lawsuit threat, about everything. They died thinking they'd failed as parents. I cried in that parking lot, mourning grandparents I barely got to know, grieving for what my father had stolen from all of us. Carol held my hand. You broke a cycle, Annalise. That takes courage. Real courage. Her words helped more than she knew. Slowly, carefully, I started rebuilding my life. I reached out to friends I'd lost touch with, people who actually cared about me, not what I could do for them. I threw a small gathering at the Lakehouse in August. 10 people came, good people. People who celebrated my success instead of resenting it. My business grew. The 3 clients I lost over Emma's social media post were replaced by 5 new ones. Word got around about my work ethic and the quality of my consulting. I hired 2 more employees. We landed a major contract with a healthcare company that will keep us busy for the next 2 years. I started therapy in June. My therapist, Dr. Rivera, has helped me work through the family trauma, the guilt, the conditioning that made me feel responsible for everyone else's happiness. We meet every Tuesday afternoon, and slowly, I'm learning what healthy boundaries look like. I've learned that family helps family shouldn't mean family destroys family. Real help is respectful. It's consensual. It's mutual. What my parents tried to do wasn't help. It was theft dressed up in guilt. One evening in early September, I get a message on LinkedIn from Emma. I almost delete it without reading, but curiosity wins again. Annalise, I need to ask you something. Tyler's lawyer fees are killing us, and we're struggling to make rent. Can you loan us $3,000? I'll pay you back, I promise. Please, for old time's sake. I stare at the message for a long time. 6 months ago, I might have sent the money just to make the guilt stop. 3 months ago, I would have agonized over the decision for days. Now, I simply delete the message and block her on LinkedIn. I feel nothing. No guilt, no anger, no sadness. Just peace. That's when I know I'm finally free. I think about my grandparents often. I wish I could tell them I understand now. I understand what my father did to them, how he manipulated and drained and destroyed them. I wish I could tell them I'm sorry I didn't see it when I was young, didn't stand up for them, didn't question the narrative I was fed. I honor them now by living freely, by protecting what I've built, by refusing to be consumed by people who mistake generosity for weakness. I've learned that being alone is infinitely better than being surrounded by people who want to consume you. And the truth is, I'm not even alone. I have real friends now. I have Aunt Carol, who calls me every Sunday and is planning to visit again at Christmas. I have Sarah, who never doubted me for a second. I have colleagues who respect me, clients who value my work, a life I built with my own hands. This lake house, this beautiful sanctuary on the water, represents more than success or money. It represents autonomy. It represents the right to say no. It represents the truth that I don't owe anyone my life, my home, or my peace, just because we share blood. One Saturday evening in mid-September, I pour myself a glass of wine and walk down to the dock. The sun is setting, painting the sky in shades of purple and gold. The water is calm, reflecting the colors perfectly. A pair of loons swim past, calling to each other. I raise my glass to the sunset, to my grandparents, to the woman I used to be, and the woman I've become. I chose me, I whisper into the evening air, and that's enough. The words echo across the water, and for the first time in my entire life, I believe them completely. I chose myself, and I'm finally happy. Real family doesn't manipulate, or steal or destroy. Real family celebrates your success. Real family respects your boundaries. Real family loves you without conditions, without taking, without consuming. And if the people who share your blood can't be that for you, then it's okay to build a new family from the people who can. It's okay to walk away. It's okay to choose peace over obligation. I learned that setting boundaries isn't cruelty. It's self-preservation. I learned that you can't set yourself on fire to keep others warm. I learned that the people who truly love you will respect your success, not try to take it. I learned that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is say no. As the last rays of sunlight disappear behind the tree line, I smile. Tomorrow I have a video call with a new client. Next weekend, Sarah and her husband are coming to visit. Next month, Aunt Carol and I are taking a trip to see the fall colors in the Upper Peninsula. My life is full. My home is mine. My future is bright. And I am enough, just as I am, right here, right now. I walk back to the house, my glass of wine in hand, the sound of the loons calling across the water following me home. This is my sanctuary. This is my peace. This is what I worked for, what I earned, what I protected, and nobody will ever take it from me again. Now I have a question for you. Have you ever had to choose between family expectations and your own well-being? Have you ever felt guilty for setting boundaries with people you love? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more real-life stories, and share this with anyone who might need to hear it. Thank you so much for listening to my story. I hope it brings you comfort, strength, and the courage to choose yourself when you need to. Take care of yourselves, and remember that your peace matters. Until next time.